What is going on, guys? This is just a video about MLB The Show 22. Now, this video, the purpose in this video is just to basically show you some really cool things that you may not even know about this game. You may not know about the franchise mode that make the franchise mode very, very, very cool. The franchise mode is very cool in this. I did a video talking about how the game sometimes cheats. Now, look at this right here, man. We have won 6 games in a row. Now, I was struggling in this game, and then I started simulating games in order to win. I went on this massive losing streak. Well, I lost 3 in a row, basically. And now all of a sudden I won 6 in a row, and, some of these games are close. I remember before I was saying that when the game is close, I can't seem to win those games. I noticed that's different now. But anyway, that's not the purpose in this video. The purpose of this video is showing you features in franchise you might not know about that will make the game more fun, I would say. I don't know if it's better because some of the stuff is a little bit like tricks and stuff like that, but I personally think you can enjoy the game more. The one thing I want to tell you is this. This right here, you can switch to AA and AAA. I do a franchise in AAA. I do one. It's not on this franchise. It's a separate franchise that I have. I'm playing as the Storm Chasers, which is the AAA team for the Kansas City Royals. I just randomly picked that team, no particular reason. I know nothing about them, but I'm doing a franchise with that team. But on this particular franchise, I'm using, the Reds is who I'm controlling. Now, here's another thing you can do that's related to that. It's similar to like Road to the Show, right? If you want to do an alternative, I recommend doing this. Create a character with attributes that are kind of low, not very high, and start him in a franchise in AA and see if you can work him out of AA into AAA. But make sure you put auto management on your franchise when you do it. Like let the CPU decide who goes where, so that you're not just, because otherwise you could just move whoever you want to MLB, and that's kind of like cheating. That kind of takes the challenge out of it. I've considered doing that instead of doing Road to the Show. Create like a character with low attributes and see how far I can get him. It would be probably more challenging than the show, to be honest, and it would probably take a while. But I think that's something that you can have fun with. Another thing is this. Okay, right now I'm having issues with my pitching. My pitchers are getting exhausted because in this particular game, the stamina system is more difficult to deal with in this game. It's you can't see their stamina right here, but a lot of our pitchers were exhausted. We had no pitchers that were available. So, we had pitchers that were available, but they didn't have enough stamina, so we had to like switch pitchers in every inning in the last game, and we managed to win that game. We pulled it off anyway. Some of these are created players. This is a created player here. This is also a created player. Created players look a little less realistic than the real players, by the way. They just do. It's not a big deal, but they definitely do. But anyway, here's what I want to show you. So basically, you can kind of create your own players. If you don't, it's kind of like a cheat code in a way, if you want to call it that. Okay, let's say I want more players on my roster, or I want better players to add to my roster. Not necessarily make the players better, because, you can edit your players and change their attributes anytime you want. Now, the game basically modifies your attributes based on performance, so you don't really want to do this. It's too much of a shortcut. But here's what I wanted to show you. Okay, like, for example, right now I'm struggling with my pitching because I don't have enough pitchers to play. Most of them are exhausted because I'm overusing them. All my pitchers are pretty tired. The only ones that are not tired are my pitchers that are not very good. So what I can do is I can go down on this roster here, go down to one of my AAAs, okay? Here's my AAA players. Okay, here's my starting pitchers. These are starters. Okay, now AA, AAA. I can go to a AA pitcher and edit the player. Now, as you can see, I can change his name. I could change everything about this guy if I want to. Now, here's a side note. You cannot change anybody because some of the players are real players, and if they're a real person that actually exists, you can't change none of this stuff. You can change their position and change their number. You can't change their name. You can change their attributes. But for me, if I want a new player on my team that I want to add like as a starting pitcher, I could take this guy right here. Now you might say, well, he's not good enough to be a player. Well, all you gotta do is, go here, change his attributes. As you can see, his attributes are not high because, he's a minor league player. Minor league players are not going to have very high attributes. They're just not. That's why they're in minor league, because they're not developed. But I can take this guy, edit him, change his name, change his identity completely, change everything about him. He would basically be, because these are basically created players. That's really all there are. They're created players that, the developers created and put in the game. That's really all they are. They're just created players to fill the roster because they probably didn't have a license for every single minor league player. I'm guessing that's the reason. But anyway, I can do that. And then what I can do is once I've done that, I can then go to lineup, not lineup, but well, I can go to player, right? Yeah, player. The same thing I just went to, you know. Okay, and then once I've edited, cause see, this guy right here is kind of injured a little bit, and then he was the only one that was available. Like he had full stamina, no one else did. He was supposed to start my last game, but he had like a minor injury, so he couldn't play. So what I could have done was added another starter, and then once, like I said, once I edit that player, I can then take him. Let's pretend like I edit this player, change his identity, change his name. See, as you can see, I can't change this guy's name. That is because he is a real player. He's a real person. You can't change those players, okay? You just can't. It's just not, you just can't do that for obvious reasons. It makes sense. You don't want to do that. I know in Madden you could change like Matt Ryan's name and it's kind of weird, but wait a minute, whoops. I didn't mean to leave that. Let's go down to another starting pitcher. I can't remember which one I just had, but I just had somebody. He's a real person, so it can't be him. I don't know who's real and who isn't, by the way. That's kind of like where I'm at. I don't know who's who or who's real and who isn't. I don't know these guys that well. Let's go to a AAA player. Let's go to a AA player, actually. Because most of the double A is the lowest ranking one, so a lot of those players are going to be false players. They're just created players. So I could take this guy, edit him, change his attributes. As you can see, this dude he doesn't even have audio for his name. So I mean, they gave him a name that wasn't even in the game. That's how generic he is. But he's not a created player. He's somebody they created. He has all this stuff going on, and his attributes, I would imagine, or as you can see, they're pretty low. 40. He has some pretty low attributes because he's, your AA players are going to be like that. I can change these to whatever I want, move him to MLB, and just like that, I got a new player starting. Now, you already knew that you could change the player's attributes, but I'm talking about a situation where you really desperately need help and you kind of want to cheat your way out of it. I haven't done that, but I'm considering possibly doing it once. I don't want to do it too much because that defeats the purpose of having the franchise experience, in my opinion. Because it's like, now we're winning games, now we're doing good, but we cheated. We just couldn't stand losing, so we just started editing all these players. And yeah, I do think that's kind of cheating. But this game here, the problem is the stamina is just so much different in this game. It's worse. It's more difficult to manage now because the player's stamina is more advanced than it was before. Let's go to the calendar. I'm going to kind of give you like an example. Let's simulate through this date. And let's go to play next game. I'm not actually going to play it, but I'm just going to show you something here. Here's my guys. Okay. A lot of my guys' stamina is ran down. Almost the whole roster is struggling with their stamina. In MLB The Show 21, it wasn't quite this bad. Now I only have one starting pitcher available. Well, I have this guy here, but he's injured. But this guy, these are my starting pitchers that I have available. Okay, he's a very low rated pitcher. Even after this game is played, my other pretty good guys, like he's a 80, he'll probably be available for the next game. He's a created pitcher. You could probably tell by his attributes. I created him in MLB The Show 21 as well. But a lot of my guys are pretty much burnt out. Look at all my relievers. My relievers and closers, they're pretty much burnt out. Because they burn through stamina and it's a lot faster than they did in MLB The Show 21. That's every player. So let's say I start him. And these players here, they're not doing too great on their stamina either. As you can see, all these guys are pretty much burnt out. These are pitchers. These are the guys I just showed you. But they're burning out their stamina faster and more so. Now, the stamina you see here is manageable. I can play with these guys, and you can't really edit the player to make their stamina come back. So that's what I was talking about before. Cheat, edit the player, turn him, and add him to the game. I may do that once just because I want a new created player that I don't have. Because remember, once you start a franchise, you cannot create a player, And also in franchise mode, you can use created stadiums. The last time I did that, the game stopped. It didn't crash, it just stopped. I did a video about that too. Now, also, these are considered created stadiums. I didn't create these stadiums. These are example created stadiums that you can edit, like kind of a starting point. So you can play with these stadiums as well. I'm not telling you anything you didn't know. I'm sure you knew that already, but I'm just talking about it. As you can see, look at those crazy, they like to put fictional stuff in this game. And as you can see, look at that, you got floating rocks and stuff. They got a lot of fictional stuff. This is pretty cool. You got your hot air balloons back there just kind of sitting, and then you got this here. So yeah, you can use all this stuff here if you want in your franchise mode and just kind of have fun with that. Because remember, these here, you can do night games in created stadiums now. In MLB The Show 21, you just weren't able to do it. As you can see, this is there's a blank canvas. Basically, over that wall, there's nothing but just land. It's pretty weak. Well, this is the blank canvas. There's just nothing there. I don't want to play there, at all. I would prefer to at least have then you can do your spring training stadiums and then All-Star Classic. You play at a stadium I would like to play here. It looks kind of old and ran down. The field look at open in '09. Wow, that's an old stadium. But as you can see, the field the home run fence looks very, very, it looks like it's not very far. I may just have to play there one time just for that reason. Wow, look at, what? There's not even a home run fence. I mean, there is, but look, there's a tunnel that you walk out, and I'm guessing if you hit the wall back there, you might, I guess they'll call that a home run, I'm guessing. I don't know. I'm pretty sure your outfielder can't run into that tunnel and get a grounder. I mean, I don't know, but I may have to look into using some of the, and then you got your little dome here. That's pretty cool. You don't see a lot of baseball teams playing in domes. That's kind of like a rare thing, but they have that in this. You got the old Atlanta Braves Stadium here, old Texas Stadium. Then you got this here, 1989. Oh, this is the Field of Dreams Stadium. That's what that is. That's a kind of a cool place to play at. But anyway, that's basically what I'm talking about in this video. Just cool little things you can do. And I do recommend doing a minor league franchise. Some people may say, well, that's a waste of time. It's not. It's cool. It's a different experience. It's a different experience because the players do play differently. The shortstops, balls get past them more. Stuff like that. You can miss pop flies more because those players, their fielding attributes are lower. it's definitely a different experience. But from a batting standpoint, I feel like your batters are going to get better averages because the pitchers are not as good. So the pitchers aren't as fast when they throw fastballs. They're very hittable balls. And the fielders are not as good. It's a different experience. Put a player on the team, just create somebody. Anyway, that's this video. If you don't like franchise mode, those are just a few tippers in case you want to look into doing something different, in your franchise, rather than just start a team with like the Reds or something and just play some games. But you want a little more than that. You want to have fun with it. Just be a little crazy with it. That's kind of what this video is for. Anyway, that's this video.